haiban, kami pa rin ang inyong number one. Ang inyong himpilan, ang inyong tahanan.
Good evening, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. This is koolNews Primetime, where we recap the latest news stories before we wrap up your day. From the station that cares for you, I am Cairo, and we are live on 99.5 Cool FM Regional, News Radio 93.1, and of course, live streaming on TVH News, also on Fedbait Archives YouTube channel. We begin with the first headline as the government is expected to borrow around 2.7 trillion pesos to finance the anticipated fiscal deficit of 1.6 trillion pesos for the 2026 national budget. The House of Representatives Congressional Policy and Budget Research Department, CPBRD, said in its report. CPBRD, in a series of analysis on the 2026 National Expenditures Program, NEP, released on Monday, said that under the proposed budget, 2.1 trillion pesos will be borrowed from domestic sources, while 627.1 billion pesos will be sourced internally or externally, or 77% from domestic lenders and 23% from foreign firms. CPBRD said, in financing the fiscal deficit, the government can typically employ one or a combination of strategies to close the budget gap: borrow, expand the money supply, increase taxes, and or decrease expenditures. In recent years, approximately 75% of government borrowings have consistently come from domestic sources, CPBRD said. For the proposed fiscal year 2026 national budget, the government is expected to borrow about 2.7 trillion pesos to finance the anticipated fiscal deficit amounting to 1.6 trillion pesos. Government is expected to borrow 2.1 trillion pesos from domestic sources through fixed rate treasury bonds and treasury bills, while 627.1 billion pesos will be sourced externally through program loans, project loans, and bonds and other inflows, it added. This will be the largest loan to fill up the expected fiscal deficit under President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s administration, as the CPBRD noted that the Department of Budget and Management DBM budget of expenditures and sources of financing for 2026 showed that gross borrowings was at 2.1 trillion pesos in 2023, 2.5 trillion pesos for 2024, and 2.6 trillion pesos in 2025. The split of the government's borrowing for 2026 is slightly higher compared to 2025, wherein 81% came from domestic borrowing, while foreign borrowing is at 19%. CPBRD also said for fiscal year 2026, the government's financing mix is pegged at 23 out of 77 in favor of domestic borrowing, a shift from the 19 out of 81 ratio program for this year. As shown in Figure 2, from 2020 to 2024, the share of external borrowing ranged from between 22% and 27%, with domestic borrowing consistently dominating the mix. However, the 2025 program shows the most pronounced shift, with external borrowing dropping to 90%, its lowest in the 7-year span, and domestic borrowing rising to 81%, its highest, it added. Despite a higher borrowing for 2026, CPBRD said that the debt service for 2026 is expected to be around 2 trillion pesos, which means 30.3% of the proposed budget will be used to pay debts. While this is lower than the 33.8% debt service recorded in 2025, it is still way higher than pre-pandemic levels, like the 19.7% in 2019. The debt service expenditures, comprising interest payment and principal amortization, continues to consume a substantial portion of the annual government budget. For fiscal year 2026, the total debt service is projected at 2 trillion pesos, with 950 billion pesos allocated for interest payments and 1.1 trillion pesos for principal amortization, CPBRD said. Although the debt service to expenditure ratio is projected to decline by 3.5 percentage points to 30.3% in 2026, it remains elevated compared to pre-pandemic levels, underscoring the persistent fiscal burden posed by debt obligations, it added. With these in mind, CPBRD predicts that the debt to GDP, or gross domestic product ratio, will still be at the 60% level in 2026, between 60.9% and 60.6%. It will only fall below the 60% threshold by 2027, but at just between 59.9% to 59.6%. CBPRD's prediction is still higher than the national government's projection of a 56.6% and 53.4% debt to GDP ratio for 2026 and 2027, as stated in the medium-term fiscal framework. It is worth emphasizing that these projects are highly contingent on several favorable conditions: robust economic growth, sustained revenue expansion, favorable macroeconomic conditions, and the moderation of deficit spending as well as borrowing, CBRD said. In particular, the government's primary deficit must not exceed the DSBB approximately negative 2.0% of GDP to prevent further increases in the debt to GDP ratio over the medium term, it added. Last August 7, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. acknowledged the immense debt that the country has garnered over the years, including during the COVID-19 pandemic, now at 17 trillion pesos. However, Marcos said that his administration is working towards bringing down the country's debt down to a sustainable level. We will have enough budget to fund these projects, so as long as the country's money is being used properly, Marcos said. For example, the budget for building classrooms should be really spent on constructing classrooms. If the budget law said 2 classrooms will be built, then there should be 2, not just 1, because that means someone pocketed funds, he explained. CBPRD released a series of reports on the 2026 NEP on Monday. According to the research arm, while the average budget utilization rates of some key agencies like the Department of Education were high, there are some programs wherein obligation rates and disbursement rates were low. Obligation rates or partitions of funds allocated for specific projects that have been downloaded to an agency already, while disbursement rates are the payments made by the government to a contractor for the project. CBPRD also noted that some government agencies failed to convert committed or obligated spending into actual production or delivery of public goods and services, like DepEd's textbook delivery program, which registered a DR of 11% in 2023 and 70% in 2024. The body urged Congress to address the mismatch between the fiscal and financial performance of departments, as some departments continue to exceed their performance targets even with persisting concerns of anemic budget utilization. Earlier, the House officially started deliberating the 6.7 trillion pesos of proposed budget for 2026, with the Committee on Appropriations hearing the Development Budget Coordination Committee report. The DBCC will be quizzed about how it formulated the National Expenditures Program and regarding the state of the country's finances, including its funding sources. The 2026 NEP was handed over by the DBM to the House last August 13. According to the briefer from the department, the largest chunk of the proposed budget will go to education at 928.5 billion pesos, followed by public works at 881.3 billion pesos, and then health at 320.5 billion pesos. After the top 3, the largest allocations go to the following departments: Defense with 299.3 billion pesos, Interior and Local Government with 287.5 billion pesos, Agriculture with 239.2 billion pesos, Social Welfare with 277 billion pesos, Transportation with 198.6 billion pesos, Jewelry with 61.9 billion pesos, and Labor and Employment with 55.2 billion pesos. You're still with us right here on koolNews Primetime. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. wants all Department of Health run hospitals to be proficient in the zero balance billing procedure to ensure smooth patient-hospital transactions. He made the statement after visiting the Eastern Visayas Medical Center in Tacloban City, yet to personally check whether zero balance billing is being properly implemented. The president said at the brief media statement, "We just have to make sure that all hospitals across the Philippines know the procedure since this is new. But I think they can manage because it's very clear what PhilHealth is, what the TVH is, and who is qualified. Almost everyone is qualified," he continued. Marcos said he has directed Health Secretary Teodoro Herbosa to see to it that hospitals are well versed in the zero balance billing process. So that's what we are seeing here. Alright, let's just keep going, keep moving forward. We will continue to improve this. This is a good development, but there is still much to be done for the healthcare system, and we can do it. We will definitely see real improvements, he said. In his fourth State of the Nation address last July, Marcos announced that patients who will be admitted for basic accommodation services in our DOH hospitals, patients will no longer have to pay because your bill has already been settled. This, however, only applies to basic or ward accommodations. The list of hospitals under DOH supervision and control can be found in the inquiry link. Prior to his visit into Eastern Visayas Medical Center, Marcos led the distribution of 124 patient transport vehicles for Eastern Visayas in Ormoc City. In his speech, Marcos said the government is encouraging healthcare workers to stay and serve in the Philippines as part of his administration's goal to strengthen the country's healthcare system. You know, our nurses and doctors are thinking of leaving and working abroad, but we are encouraging them to stay. They are Filipinos, of course. They want to help their own people, Marcos said. He added that for the first time in the Philippines, every single municipality and city has at least one doctor now. And the Budi Minority Leader Senator Risa Hontiveros wants a probe into the alleged abuse and maltreatment of 156 rescued children under the custody of a certain Pastor Jeremy Ferguson of the New Life Baptist Church of Mexico, Pabango Incorporated. In her proposed Senate Resolution number 77, Hontiveros cited primary reports which revealed that the children lived under abusive conditions, with some reportedly suffering from physical, verbal, and psychological abuse under the custody of NLP-CMPI. The resolution states, a complaint filed by two 12-year-old boys as represented by their guardians and the Department of Social Welfare and Development alleged that Pastor Ferguson made them kneel for long periods, fed them spoiled food, and deprived them of play. Aside from issues of child abuse, the DSWD also found that NLPCMPI has violated the DSWD registration, license to operate, and accreditation standards, and was operating the shelter under conditions that exposes the children to fire hazards, mismanagement of funds, and improper case management, prompting the agency to issue a 30-day cease and desist order. It adds. With these, Hontiveros said there is an urgent need to revisit existing laws and policies, including but not limited to Republic Act No. 7610 and other related statutes, to ensure stronger safeguards for children placed in social welfare and development agencies like NLP-CMPI and other similar facilities. The reported incident underscores the necessity of a comprehensive review of accreditation, monitoring, and regulation mechanisms for public and private institutions that assume custody of minors to prevent similar cases, said Hontiveros. The senator particularly wants her committee, the Senate panel on Women, Children, Family Relations, and Gender Equality, to thoroughly look into the matter. This is koolNews Primetime. It is now 11:30 p.m. as we will be taking a short break as we will return with more news headlines on koolNews Primetime after these messages. Stay along with us.
Tumigas ba ang junjun mo? PA Condoms, di agad makakalabas sa puting ahas. Pag naka-PA Condoms ka, tara, lagyan mo niyan si Junjun ng kapote. Pa di lalaki ang tiyan ng partner mo. Mabibili ninyo ang kapote pa kay Junjun sa Jor A Supermarket at sa mga suki ninyong tindahan at mall malapit sa inyong lugar. Nako, 20 pesos lang yan. Pili na!
PA Condoms, hindi makakalabas ang puting ahas. PA Condoms, mabibili sa Jor A Supermarket at sa mga suking tindahan at mall malapit sa inyong lugar.
New, ang sarap ng onigiri sa Melody Mart. Ang sarap ng onigiri sa Melody Mart. Ang sarap ng onigiri sa Melody Mart. Ang sarap ng onigiri sa Melody Mart.
Subukan niyo na ang Melody Mart Onigiris. Maraming fillings na pwedeng pagpilian. May classics, locals, at premium fillings na suwag magpapasaya ng samyo.
Overload onigiri sa Melody Mart. Overload onigiri sa Melody Mart.
Bikin, meron na rin tayong Overload Onigiris na mas pinalaki, mas maraming fillings.
Price starts at 55 pesos. Bumili na ng onigiri sa Melody Mart.
Melody Mart Onigiris. Price starts at 55 pesos. Available in Melody Mart outlets nationwide.
Melody Mart, your everyday vibe for convenience. Ang kanlungan noon ni Tandang Sora para sa libu-libong katipunero ay isang ganap na lugar ng mga bayani ng ating buhay. Kasama mo ang himlayang Pilipino, laging handa baunin ang alaala ng iyong mga mahal sa buhay. Ang himlayang Pilipino ay naghahatid ng mga affordable na libingan hanggang sa mas magagarang mga mausoleo para sa mga pribadong pagdidilay. Bukas din ang tahanan ng alaala para sa iyong pangangailangang pagpupugay mula sa chapel rentals hanggang sa cremation. Para sa mga karagdagang impormasyon, maaari kayong tumawag o mag-text sa 0968-896-4850. Pumunta sa himlayangpilipino.org o sa aming Facebook, Himlayang Pilipino Incorporated, at Instagram, HPI Memorial Park. That stays in mind. Oh, what's G? Can you feel it racing with the time? Ooh. Legendary fit, the legendary style. Rowas jeans, as time moves on, the nation shines on. Rowas jeans, a legend on its own.
Roab's Jeans, a legend on its own. Now available in all leading department stores nationwide.
Soda Pop is back and better than ever. Our products now come with free sizes. Small with 39 pesos, medium with 59 pesos, and the new large with 79 pesos. Our branch in Taguig opens every day from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Soda Pop is now also accepting deliveries too. For more information, you can check us out on our Facebook page. So what are you waiting for? Pop the party with flavor with Soda Pop, where every sip is a celebration.
My little Soda Pop.
Soda Pop, now with flavors of strawberry, blueberry, green apple, raspberry, and more. Starting at 39 pesos. Soda Pop, pop the party with flavor, where every sip is a celebration.
Dito na tayo sa Joy A. Dito na tayo sa Joy A Supermarket kung saan lahat ay mura at marami mga discount. Matthew Margarine Sardines only 12 pesos plus buy one take 3 pa. Durex condoms buy one get 6 for all flavors starts at 49 pesos. Buy one Frostbite ice cream and get our exclusive The N-Word song in CD. Sa supermarket namin ay Joy A. Joy A Supermarket, ang paboritong budget-friendly supermarket ng Pilipinas.
Joy A Supermarket, ang budget-friendly supermarket ng Pilipinas. Now in 6,900 locations around the Philippines and Southeast Asia.
Dream Car Karaoke po, tuwing pagising mo sa umaga, kailangan mo ng kapeng gigisingin ka sa tapang at sarap.
Tikman ang lasa ng bayan sa bagong Kapinoy Coffee.
Tama-tama lang ang tapang at sarap.
Tikman na ang lasa ng bayan sa bagong Kapinoy Coffee. If it's coffee, it's Kapinoy Coffee.
Masarap na coffee. If it's coffee, it's Kapinoy Coffee.
Also available, Kapinoy Coffee 3-in-1 and Pure Creme. Bili na sa inyong mga suking tindahan.
Kapinoy Coffee. If it's coffee, it's Kapinoy Coffee from FES Manufacturing Corporation.
Ngayong tag-ulan, siguraduhin mong protektado ang iyong tahanan mula sa tagas. Gamitin ang Minto Typhoon Resistant Sealant. Subok sa tibay, siguradong kapit kahit sa pinakamalalakas na ulan. Para sa bubong, bintana, pader at kahit saan man may tagas, Minto ang sagot. Minto Sealants, tunay na tatagal mula sa Truton.
One time, there's a confrontation about sushi and pizza, but then there was a solution.
Bro, I said let's get sushi.
No way. Pizza beats raw fish every time.
Why not both? Gooey cheese, spicy mayo, seaweed, salmon. Introducing Sushi Baked Pizza.
Whoa.
Creamy, savory, sushi-inspired toppings baked on a perfect crust. Sushi Baked Pizza, 9-inch at 250, 11-inch at 450. Only at Dream Cards Pizza. We make pizza the Dream Cards way.
You paid this time.
No way. You wanted sushi.
Call 141-9191 for deliveries.
Dream Cars Pizza. We make pizza the Dream Cars way. Call 141-9191 for deliveries. Also available, Dream Cars Frozen Pizza in supermarkets near you. Does a credit card earn you free miles on everyday expenses? Does a credit card allow you to fly for free to international destinations? Does your credit card have all the aforementioned, but with a waive annual fee for the first 3 years? You wouldn't have to worry while answering those questions anymore. Introducing the CFV Filipino Jet Crossworld Credit Card, the only card in the Philippines that not only earns you miles the fastest way for only 45 pesos per mile, but has also no annual fee for the first 3 years. Earning free flights had never been easier. Apply now at your nearest CFV branch or apply online via the CFV online banking app. Only from CFV. Express the freedom of banking. CFV is regulated by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. CFV is a proud member of Crosslink. CFV. Express the freedom of banking. A member of Crosslink and supervised by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas.
Back to today's Primetime. It is now 11:21 p.m. as we continue to bring you the latest news headlines before we wrap up. Senator Robin Batiglia has filed a bill requiring elected and appointed officials, including the President of the Philippines, to undergo annual mandatory drug testing. The actor-turned-politicant filed Senate Bill number 12,000 on Monday, seeking to institutionalize annual mandatory drug testing for public officials, as well as voluntary random drug testing for electoral candidates within 90 days before Election Day. In his proposed Drug-Free Government Act, Padilla stressed that as employees of public offices, officials must also be subject to accountability measures such as mandatory random drug testing, in line with their mandate to promote public welfare and help mitigate, if not eliminate, drug use and abuse in communities. Under the measure, testing will be conducted through two methods: a carefully called drug test for initial screening, which can detect both positive results and the type of drug use, and urine drug test for confirmatory testing to validate any positive findings. Drug test certificates issued by accredited drug testing centers shall be valid for a 1-year period from the date of issue, which may be used for other purposes to be bill rates. The bill also provides that the following shall be subjected to mandatory drug testing. For applicants for driver license, no license shall be issued or renewed unless the applicant represents certification that he or she has undergone a mandatory drug test and is free from the use of dangerous drugs. For all elected and appointed government officials, including those in government instrumentalities and government-owned and controlled corporations, whether based locally or overseas, it also covers the President of the Philippines, who shall undergo an annual mandatory drug test through a follicle test. Padilla's bill provides that any official who tests positive for the use of dangerous drugs shall face administration, which may serve as grounds for suspension or termination from office, subject to applicable laws. Padilla filed the measure days after actress Nadia Montenegro was linked to an incident report on the alleged use of marijuana inside the Senate building in Plaza City. His chief of staff, Dr. Rodolfo Philip Duado, confirmed that Montenegro was employed in their office. Shortly after, Padilla's office announced that she had resigned from her post. At Monday's Development Budget Coordination Committee DBCC budget briefing, Representative Brian Poe of the FPJ's Panday Bayanihan Party List raised questions on the role of online gaming in government revenues, noting its relatively small share compared to the country's overall fiscal requirements. Finance Rep. Recto noted that the industry contributes only a modest amount to the national coffers. The total revenue from online gambling that goes to the national government is roughly 60 billion pesos, Proctor said. This is only equal to 0.23% of the 24 GDP. Paul followed by asking whether the government was prepared to tap other streams of income should stricter regulations or even a potential phase out of industry be pursued. Raptor responded, "We will gladly work with you on that. Any additional revenue stream for the national government will be very much welcome." Paul pointed to another potential source of government income. "We are looking into possible excise taxes on plastics, which currently has no national excise tax, and on mining, where the Philippines only collects a 2% excise tax, much lower compared to global standards," he said. The DOF noted that reforms have already been passed to racialize mining taxation and signal openness to explore additional measures with Congress. Lawmakers have previously raised questions on the broader social cost of online gambling. Paul emphasized that future fiscal policy should prioritize sustainable and productive industries while ensuring steady revenue for the government. 4 minutes before 11:30, and now let's head over to the showbiz. And give me a minute, I will be switching internet because I'm having connectivity issues as we speak. Alright, we're running out of time. Let's head over to showbiz. The members of the K-pop girl group BINI lodged a criminal complaint for cybercrime law violation before the prosecutor's office of Santa Rosa, Laguna against the uploader of the Spice video where they tried to put that fueled online hate against them. The K-pop group's complaint was made public in an Instagram post by the group's lawyer, Jolie Villanueva Alonso, and was reported by ABC News on Monday, August 18, wherein members Joanna, Aya, Colette Malloy, Ben, Stacy, Mika, and Sheena could be seen taking their oath before an officer of the court. Alonso opted not to state the name of the correspondent, but mentioned in her post that the person is being charged for committing unjust persecution under Article 287 in relation to Section 4B and 6 of Republic Act 10175 or the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012. The respondent is subjected to prison mayor or imprisonment of 6 years and a day to 12 years. BD Scam is also seeking damages amounting to 1 million pesos for each member, or a total of 8 million pesos for the outlet. According to Alonso, this last video filled online hate and bashing against the people outlet, citing forms of personal attacks, name-calling, and grave insults. She said the malicious splicing of the video unjustly threw them into bad light, causing irreparable emotional and mental distress. It must be remembered that the freedom to post online is not an absolute right and must be accompanied by truth, accountability, and responsibility. Right to free speech ends when it starts to malign reputations or cause harm and damage upon others, she continued. BD's legal counsel said the group's complaint is a way of responding to digital form of abuse. The female octet made headlines after participating in the People vs. Food video where they tried and rated political stance. This led them to being subjected to multiple Spice videos on social media. Earlier this month, Alonso hinted that the P-pop powerhouse will file a complaint against an unnamed individual. Ladies and gents, it's now 11:29 p.m. and this is where we will be ending here. Thank you so much for joining us for the headlines where we just recap the news before wrapping up your night. As in a few minutes from now, in a minute from now, we'll be heading over to the TVH simulcast of Vibe Nights. This has been koolNews Primetime. I am Caro, and join us again tomorrow for more news headlines with koolNews at 6. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Stay safe. Good night.